And welcome, everybody, to the first stream of CodeNerd.io in our new YouTube channel. And yes, I realize not too many people have joined yet, but later on, as people wake up and realize, wow, CodeNerd is live? Yeah. Okay, here's the deal. I'm in San Francisco. I actually work for a very large code school here, but today is Saturday. And you know what? When the kids are in school here, we can't really teach kids coding if they're in regular schools. So I thought maybe we'll have an online school for kids around the world. So welcome to Code Nerd. This is it. And this is how it's going to work. What do you mean? How is it going to work? Well, I want you to feel the experience of having live instruction. See there? I would have cut that out if we were editing this video. It's pretty difficult to teach live, and I think that's the beauty. You have a connection. Right now, it's 7:01 in San Francisco in the evening, and I'm very hungry. And you're like, well, I'm in India. It's like how many hours ahead? 16 hours? But it's even stranger than that. It's like 16 and a half hours ahead. That's wild. And I know you want to chat. You're like, oh, can I just write something in the comments right now? I'm sorry. We've actually disabled the comments because CodeNerd.io is going to have comments and questions and teacher support built into the system. That's the whole goal of this. Well, then why are you streaming live? Well, we use YouTube Live to stream our lessons. We just don't want the chatting to happen there because, come on, you've watched live shows. The chatting is usually a little bit unsupervised, and that's not our style. We're super supervised. Now today I'm going to be showing you how to build a game using Scratch. That's kind of my thing. But we have a teacher that does Python and his name is Steven, and he's going to be doing a show later this week. So make sure you subscribe because it actually even gets better than that. We have an instructor that teaches Roblox. Yes, Roblox Studio, building your own games. He's a professional game developer and he loves Roblox. I know it's very, very amazing. I was going to say unusual, but that's the wrong word. This is all about being amazing. And before we get started, let's go ahead and let's see who our sponsor is today. Today we are sponsored. I told you it's our first show, and we kind of take the sponsors wherever we can get them. And we're sponsored by Onions. Onions, it's what's for dinner, sort of. Is that serious? Don't we get any other sponsors? Yes, we do have another sponsor, a beauty sponsor. Do you want to play video games 24 hours a day and still have beautiful hair like me? Well, now you can with Code Nerd hair products. The sponsorships are awful and our products are awful, but please believe me that we're pretty good at coding. So why don't we jump into coding? I know what you're thinking. You're like, what is this? And why am I watching? Well, actually, we're going to teach you how to code right now. Let me show you what we'll be building. It's called AI Pong. Artificial intelligence. Why? Because in the true Pong game from like the old school 1970s, there was two paddles and then the ball bounced between them. But most people make Pong in Scratch by paddle being at the bottom. And so I thought, well, this is real life, folks. I just failed my game. Okay, so let me hit the start flag. Here it is. So I'm controlling the bottom one, as you can tell, because I'm shaking around. I'm controlling it with my mouse. And then the top one, believe it or not, is controlled by artificial intelligence. And you can tell it's actually unbeatable right now. But if I do let it get past me, whatever that thing is, there's a game over screen, and then it flips to what I call a thumbnail screen. So here it is. Let's do this. Let's code AI Pong. So you'll need to go to scratch.mit.edu. You could just Google Scratch, the word Scratch. In fact, if you don't have a Scratch account, you might want to practice first, like maybe come back to this video because this is going to be very fast and in detail. No, actually not. You should be able to follow along. So I'm going to create a new project. This is the hard part about Scratch is you always start with nothing. And I'm actually going to take this finished project and I'm going to put it in the comment section of our YouTube live channel. Just in case you're like, I don't understand. Can I see what this looks like? I'll have the project for you right there. Okay, so we have a Scratch cat. We don't really need the sprite cat, so you can delete it down here. And we're going to be drawing what I call the paddle. And we'll be drawing it using vector mode. What's vector mode? Well, you can change the modes down here. Can you see that? It says bitmap, but I want to keep it in vector mode, and I'm going to draw my paddle, and I don't want, what color? I feel like being really colorful today. Let's see, a little bit darker. How long can you spend choosing colors in Scratch? Personally, all day long. But like I said, I haven't had dinner yet, so I really want to choose that color. So here we go. I'm making the brown. That's what I chose? Of all the colors in the rainbow, I chose brown. And that's going to be my paddle. So I'm going to name that sprite my paddle. Dumb name, but it's a good name. Okay, so and then the AI paddle is going to be at the top. But let's build that later. Let's actually add the ball next. So I'm going to choose a sprite. I could draw my own or I could choose one. There's a ball. Oh, it's so boring to use the ball they gave you. Anyways, it's fine. Let's have it start in the middle of the game. So I like to code the ball first before anything else happens. And then the ball will go to. So over here in the motion blocks, you have a go to. In the very center of a Scratch game, right in the middle, is X0, Y0. That's the point it's the middle. That's the center. So we're going to say events go to the center. There we go. So the ball is in the center. And then I immediately want it to go down. So I'll go to the motion blocks and I'll say point down. Point. I'm going to zoom this in so you can see, just in case you're like, I can't see. Brought to you by onions. Okay, point in direction down, and then we're going to move. So in the motion blocks, you have the move 10 steps. Now, of course, you'll be moving forever, so we'll need to go in the control blocks and wrap that in a forever block. Now, whoops, I didn't point it down. So go click on direction and then point it down. And that's just to start so that the game actually starts. You notice the ball didn't actually bounce off of anything. And the easiest way to fix that is go into motion, scroll down until you see if on edge. What a beautiful code block that is. And we can just throw that inside the forever loop. Now it's bouncing. Okay, so we have the ball working pretty well, but we want to tell the ball if you're touching the paddle to bounce off of it. Duh. So let me stop the game real quick. I'll go in control, and then I'll grab the if, and that's the block you want right there. It's called a conditional block because it checks for a condition. What's a condition? Well, conditions are true or false situations. They're actually called Booleans, but that name is kind of difficult. So you have a situation where you're checking to see if it's true or false. Well, what is true or false? Whether or not the ball is touching the paddle. Well, how can you check that? Well, you have something called sensing blocks over here, and you can see where it says touching mouse pointer, and there's a drop down. You can actually change that. So touching my paddle. And if you actually click on that touching my paddle, it says true or false, right? It's saying false. But if I put it right over there, that will switch to true. There. So that's what the conditional is. It's checking to see if it's true or false, and then it's going to run the code inside of it. So if touching my paddle, then we're going to switch directions. Well, not switch direction, but just point in a different direction. So that's in motion right here. So not point towards, we'll have point in direction. Uh, yeah, that's the best way, but we want to put it into a random position direction because right now it will just bounce off of that paddle, and we don't really want that. So I'll show you how it's going to work right now. I'll put it in the forever loop. I'll start it, and then it bounces to the right. We could say just bounce up. There it goes, changing the direction. But this would be a pretty boring game. You're like, it's already pretty boring. Like I said, we are brought to you by onions. Onions. The worst. I wonder, on the Python show, are they going to be sponsored by like snake food? What do snakes eat? Like mice and stuff? And what is the Roblox show going to be sponsored by? Carrots? I think so. I think we should give them carrots as a sponsor. Okay, so point and direction. We want it to be like at a random position, random direction. So go to operators, and you have this wonderful pick random number. So those numbers are going to be directions. And I don't know if my right and my left. Here's my right. Oh, it's kind of like switched. So we want it to either go this angle, this angle, this angle, or this angle. So those are all up. And in Scratch, it's very strange. Let me click on the direction thing. Going up is 0 degrees, but going like this, they call it -90. And that's kind of strange, isn't it? It's like, this is 90 degrees. This is the opposite of 90 degrees. And if it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't make sense to me either. Why is it called -90? So in this case, we could say something like, pick a random number between -90 and 90, but that would create, wow, way too much of an angle. The ball might actually go sideways. So we're going to go with -45 and 45, and that should make it pretty good. There, we got the random movement. I can't move the paddle yet. I really want to move the paddle. Okay, so we're gonna stop coding the ball for a second, and we're gonna code the paddle. And we're gonna say, paddle, follow my mouse pointer. And if you do that, you go to, let's say, we say events, when the game starts. It's another situation where you want it to forever follow something, so you know you're going to need a forever loop. So forever, and then you want a go to. This is the weird one. You want to go to the mouse. Well, if you did this, watch. If you said go to mouse pointer, watch what happens. It's like, okay, the paddle kind of bounces with you. That might be cool. That might be what you like. You might like to eat onions too for breakfast, but not me. I actually want it to just follow the mouse pointer going side to side. Now, side to side movement in Scratch is called the X position. Over here in the motion blocks, you have a couple different X positions options. You can set the X position, or you can change the X position. All right, so in this case, even though we're going to be moving it and changing it, we're really going to be setting it to the same X position as the mouse pointer. What does that mean? Well, when you move the mouse left and right, that's going to change the X position, which in turn is going to change the position of the paddle. Okay, so let's, where do we find the X position of the mouse? I believe it is in sensing. I probably should have remembered this. Yeah, right there. Mouse X. So set X position to, let me get rid of this one, to mouse X. Let's see. Hey, look at that. It's following. Oh, you're like, that's Pong. That's it. It's game over. You're done. Well, yeah, if you want a game that lasts forever. I know a lot of you are like, well, let's just put a background on that and call it a day. Which, okay, this might take me forever. Background. This doesn't match. I've got this like poop brown paddle. I have to change that. I don't care if this is a live show or not. I'm changing the fill on the poop brown paddle. I'm going with something cooler. Yeah, lime green. Let's see if I can't paint this thing green. There we go. Looks a lot better. Thank you. Okay. There we go. Fashion is everything at Code Nerd. Like the word nerd Is it good or bad? We were kind of like debating it. Is it Code Nerd? I guess they're cool. Are they not cool? We don't really care. We just thought it was funny. Okay, so this thing is working. Let's build the AI. And the AI is actually super easy to build. We're just going to paint a new sprite. And over here in the costumes, I'm going to draw it a different color. I'm going to make it the bad guy. He's going to be, well, everything's blue in this. Let's make him red. And then he's going to be like that. There we go. And you see that center thing? Make sure it's always in the center of your sprite. There you go. The bad guy's smaller. He won't be able to keep up. Now let's add some code to the bad guy. Why do we keep calling him the bad guy? He's just the AI. Let's say events. Let's see. When the game starts, pretty typical, to go to, we're going to go to this position here. Well, just in case he's moved. Why? Sometimes it's good to set the positions where they're starting at, just in case somehow it accidentally got there. And then when you restart the game, okay, it's in the spot we want it to be. Then we want it to forever follow. Okay, we have to think like a computer. What do we want the computer to follow? The ball. Okay, so we're going to forever follow the ball. So here we go. Forever, and then go to motion, and if we set the X to the ball X, watch this. It's going to be impossible to win. We're sensing, not the mouse X. We want the ball X. You can't get that. Yes, you can. This is what happens when you've been teaching Scratch for 5 years. 6 years? How long have I been teaching Scratch? There's this block. And I know that on this block, if you change this to ball, you can actually grab the X position. I know. I just totally earned my money right there. Boom. So we put the X position of the ball in there. Now the AI is so impossible to beat because its X position is always following the ball. That's cheap. Come on. That's ridiculously difficult. So instead of using that code, let's go back to the motion and let's say glide to, which one? Right here. Glide 1 second to keep the X positions exactly where he's at, keep the Y position at 158, but change the X position by the ball. But this glide 1 second is actually going to slow him down. There. Now he's beatable. Now he's stupid. Stupid AI. I kind of like it though. You could really control it. Like, wow, you made an AI that's what if that was a self-driving car? you're like, yeah, we're gonna go get in the Tesla, and Matt from Code Nerd, he's the one that programmed the Tesla. It has a 1 second delay. There's a train coming. Don't worry, we'll make it across the tracks. We have a 1 second delay built in. Sponsored by Onions. Onions, they make you cry. It's like what? The jokes are funnier when you're all by yourself. They really are. I mean, I can just keep them coming. Actually, I won't. So what do we have here? We have everything going, but the ball doesn't bounce off the bad guy. It doesn't. Okay. So now we're going to go to the bad guy. Well, no, we're not going to go to the bad guy. We're controlling the ball. The ball needs to bounce off the bad guy. So go to the ball code. And we had this one, if touching my paddle. We're just going to duplicate that. Right click, duplicate it, put it down underneath there. And then say if we're touching the enemy. Let's name it. This is the AI enemy. Always name your sprites. Because if you don't, you forget. You'll have everything called my sprite or sprite 1. So hold on, go back to the ball. There we go. So if touching, not my paddle, if touching the AI enemy, then we're going to pick a random number going down because we don't want it to go up anymore. We want it to go down. And Boy, you have to be pretty good at math to like think, okay, perfectly down is 180 degrees down. So we want it to be kind of on both sides of that. So maybe 100 and, well, let's try 160 degrees, which I don't know if I should probably have like a whiteboard or something here. 160 degrees all the way up to, let me see if it's 180, so 220. That should allow it to bounce off of, there we go, there to bounce off of that AI enemy in a fairly decent manner. There it is, the world's dumbest AI. He's doing pretty well. Like sometimes he does, I beat him right there. So that's the final step. And I think a lot of people don't do the final step in video games. They just get it working and they're like, okay, let's share. Everybody play my game. And people play it and they're like, yeah, but you can't win. You can't win. Just like you can't win with onions. You can't win. Was that a good plug? Did I sell you on that? I think so. You're like, I'm going to go home and get me some onions. I was going to bring one and just like eat it at the end of the show just to make sure everybody stayed till the end. But I didn't do that. So let's get back to this game. We needed to say when the ball goes past my paddle, I lose. Or past their paddle, the AI. They don't count. They're not a real person. A lot of people will put a little strip of color and I call it like a sensing strip, and they'll say, if the ball touches the sensing strip, then it's game over. But what I like to do is actually pay attention to where the ball is. And in this case, if the ball gets lower than my paddle, I know that the AI has scored a point. So let's look at this. This ball right now is in position, actually I want to look at the Y, negative 154. So we're going to set up an if statement, and we're going to say, this conditional if statement is going to say if the ball goes below negative 154. So we'll need an operator. We'll grab the less than, because it's going less than below, less than negative 154, and yours might be a little different. And we're saying if the ball goes. So how do I grab the ball? Actually, the X position should be in the motion. It should have the X position right here of the ball. This is actually kind of cool where it says, you can see it. It's like above my hat. If you click on this, you could always see where the X position of the ball is. So right now, not the X position. Wait a minute. Cut. Well, we can't cut. It's live, huh? I don't want the X position. I want the Y position. Because look, the Y position is the negative 154. I'm going to turn those off. So if it goes below negative 154, that's when I want to signal that, hey, game over. And a lot of beginners will be like, okay, let's make a sprite that pops up that says game over. But hold on just a second. Let's first create a message. And that's in events. And we're going to broadcast a message that's going to be a game over message. So I'm going to click new message, and I'm going to say game over and hit enter. And that's just the name of some message that doesn't do anything. I'm going to put this in with the other blocks because I need this to constantly be running. So I'll just share this forever loop. It's not going to hurt anything. And now I'm going to go create my game over sprite. And I'm going to paint this sprite. And this is one of those situations where I actually do convert it to bitmap. I click convert to bitmap because that way I can paint the whole screen real quickly. You'll notice it's not in the center, so I'll need to center that. And then I'm going to put text, and I'm going to say, oh, hold on. This is something about Scratch 3 that you have to always remember to do. Always remember to change the font. Game over. This is such a terrible game because you can only lose. I'll leave it up to you to make it so that you can win. Game over. Game over, dude. We're in California. How do you say that in wherever you live? Where do you live? I'm going to guess right now. Guam. You live in Guam and you just woke up and you're like, it's probably like 4 a.m. I don't think anybody in Guam is watching this. Okay, so game over. we're good here. Now we just have to go to the code for this sprite and do a couple little things. First of all, when the game starts, we don't want to see the sprite. So go to looks, go down here and hide it. And hide and show, those are partners. You can't have one without the other. You want me to sing a song? You can't have one without the other. I knew that song. Okay, so when are we going to show? We're going to show when we receive that message. Remember, when I receive game over, we'll show ourselves. And a couple other things that make game over screens work really well. We need them to go to the position we want right in the beginning. And then also we want them to go to front, because sometimes Scratch will layer things. So your bad guy might be in front, and we just, or in this case, we don't really know what's in front, but we want to make the game over screen go to front. So that's in the looks, and we'll say go to front. It's sometimes harder to find than you think. You're like, go to front. Here it is. Go to front and show. There we go. Boom. Oh, I lost. I've never been so excited to lose in my entire life. Well, here we go. Oh, I beat him. Okay, we've got to make the you win. And this will be, can we use the same sprite? Nah, I'm going to make a new sprite. You have to remember, coders are lazy, and that's good, you know? If you don't have to repeat doing something twice, that's actually a great thing in coding. So right now I'm thinking in my brain, which is very slow today, it's thinking, should I just use this same sprite and then just switch the costume for it? Just make a new costume? Like, even, watch this, I can just duplicate this one. And on this one, I'm going to say you win. Can I grab it? Oh, because it's a bitmap, you can't just grab. You can only like erase like this, which that didn't really help. So I'm going to just paint myself a new one, and I'll convert it to burp map. I'm going to burp map it. Convert it to burp map, everybody. And this one's going to be the you win. And here we go. Oh, I didn't convert it to bitmap. There we go. And I'm going to say you win. It's a celebration. What do you win, everybody? You win onions. I wonder what we're going to be sponsored by in our next show. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of shows. I love doing shows. Okay, you win. Now, when is this one going to pop up? Actually, we're sharing that sprite, so we need to control which backdrop. So when we get game over, we'll need the backdrop. Let's see, switch costume to, it should be game over, but I think it's called costume 1. Let's see, costume 1 is game over, and then costume 2 is called you win. Label your costumes, everybody. Don't forget that. Okay, so when I receive game over, switch to game over. We're going to duplicate this one, and we're going to say there's going to be a new message. It hasn't been made yet. You win. And then that one will go there, and then that will switch to you win. Let's just click on that, and there, it works perfectly. I'll click on this. You can always run or fire code blocks just by double-clicking on them. So we need to go back to the ball, and now we have if the X position is below this position, then broadcast game over. We'll duplicate this code, and this time, instead of using the less than, we'll go into operators, and we'll use the greater than. And we'll say if the Y position goes above, hold on, I have to check. Every time I stop it, I can't see it because this one's showing. So a little hint here, just click the hide thing. And then I'm going to move the ball. If the ball goes up here, you can see the Y position is 160. So basically, well, it's not going to get there. It's going to go right. Because remember, it's going to bounce off the edge. I talk fast, don't I? Okay, so if it goes right here, 156. So it's greater than 156. If the Y position is greater than 156, we're going to broadcast you win. I think we have a working game here. Oops, I just disconnected. I'm trying to make it so you can see everything here. Okay, let's, there. Now you can see everything. Here we go. Here we go. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Will the game work? We're in beta testing prototype. Take 1. Okay. Here we go. He's playing a pretty good game. The crowd goes wild. That was cool. Why did it just flash? What's going on? This was not expected. Okay, this is a bug. You know what's going on right now? The ball is still there. You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. The ball is still bouncing behind the scenes. And every time I miss it, like I'm actually still playing right now. You just can't see it. So let me stop the game. We have to go in here. When the ball, when it broadcasts you win, we need to stop the ball moving. We need to end the game. And typically, you'll use something in the control called stop all. But I'm just hesitant to use stop all right now because I just want to show you that you don't have to use stop all. You can actually just make the ball stop moving. So in this case, we'll just set the ball's position. Broadcast, you win, and then we'll hide the ball. So go looks, and then we'll hide it. I'm just making this up now. I don't know if it's actually going to work. And then in the very beginning, we need to show the ball. So let's see if we have that same problem now. Okay, so I win. The ball's still going. So the ball still exists. Wow. There was a live mistake, everybody, that didn't work. Now, I guess the best idea is just to stop all. And where do I want to stop all? I want to stop all on this sprite because when they receive the game over message, that's kind of the last thing that happens. So go to control and then use the stop all. I'm sure tonight, after my wonderful dinner, I'm going to eat sushi, by the way. I love sushi. I'll realize, like, you know what? During that live show, I really should have done this. And you know what? It's too late. The show's over. The show's over, everybody. No, I'm not saying this show's over, but I'm just saying there's a bug right there. Look, the ball's still hidden. I told you to use hide and show always together. You didn't do that. I say you. I meant me. I didn't do it. You better use the show button. Always show your sprites. There it is. In my really dumb AI. Now you can set up a point system. Should we? Every time that you hit it, you get a point. Okay. Let's go. Let's go for it. How long are we into this show? I can't even see. Time has stood still. It's 7:30, so the show's only been going for 30 minutes. Okay, so let's make a variable. Variables, if you don't know what they are, they're a way to hold information that may or may not change in your game. Hold and use information. So in this case, the variable is going to be called points. And that value is going to change. It's going to start at 0. So let's say we'll start points at 0. Let me zoom in. I don't know. Maybe it's my vision since I'm turning 100 years old this year. Yes, 100. You saw my hair in the commercial? That was really my hair. I actually cut my hair right before this show. I'm like, I can't see. And, my hair, actually, I'm picking pieces of that hair off the desk all the time right now. Set points to 0 when the game starts, okay? That's a good thing to do. Always set it to 0, otherwise it won't reset. And then we'll increase the points where every time you touch it, every time my paddle touches the ball, I'm going to get a point. So we'll go to the variable menu and we'll change the variables when it touches my paddle. We'll increase the points there. And in this case, you're not really doing anything other than trying to beat the game. So keeping track of the points doesn't really make sense. Maybe just to see who has a high score. Can I make a cloud variable? Oh, yes, I can. I'm a scratcher. Yes. If you've been on Scratch for a couple weeks and you've commented a couple times on some projects, they allow you to create a variable that's called a cloud variable. And this one I'm going to call high score. And this will be fun because we can see who gets the high score. And that value, that variable amount, will be kept on the server in Scratch. And it only works for numbers, not letters, not symbols. You can learn more. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a high score. So here is the high score. Let's see if I can remember this. I do have a YouTube video about setting up a high score. And I'm going to say, but I have to remember what I did. If something is greater than the high score, you know what, coders, programmers, game builders, you spend a lot of time thinking. Well, I don't think. I just kind of wander around pointless, aimless. Okay, back to the show. If the score is greater than the high score, okay, go to the variables. This is going to make sense. If your points are greater than the current high score, we're comparing, see? And then if you hover over this, this is either going to be true or false. Right now, if I take it out, it is true. So my points are greater than the high score. Therefore, we will set the high score to whatever my score is right now. That's the code right there. When do we want this code block to run? Do we want it to constantly be running? You could, but I actually like to put it on the game over screen. Oh, if you don't know how to do this, this is a cool trick. Grab your code block, drag it to the sprite you want to move it to, and let go. And it has been magically transferred over there. And in this case, I want to duplicate it, and I want to put it right there and right here. Why? Because I want at the end of the game for it to determine if the high score has been reset. So that's why I'm putting it right there. And I'm going to have to go back to the ball and get rid of it right here. Okay, so let's play the game now. We need a new high score screen. This is getting good. Okay, so I play the game. I won, but I didn't change the high score. So let's see if I can beat the high score. I've actually totally messed up the goal of the game, because now the goal isn't to get it past him. The goal is to bounce it as many times as you can. So the game is essentially flawed. It's not just a bug. It's just a bad game. Do you do that? Do you make games that are like intentionally bad and frustrating? In fact, I don't think anybody can beat my high score, because what am I even saying? Anyways, that's pretty funny. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it as that. And I'm going to share this game right now. So I'm going to call this Pong AI YouTube live stream. And I'm going to click this share button. If you've never done this, this is very important. I'm going to give the instructions. Try to beat my high score. Game filmed on the Scratch. Oh, sorry, it's not Scratch. On the Code Nerd YouTube.io YouTube show. All right, so now I can copy the link. There we go. So I have the link right there, and I can share it with the world. And I will post this in the notes. I'm not even showing you what I'm doing. Rookie move right there. Rookie move. So what I was doing was I clicked the share button and I copied the link. Hold on. Here we go. I clicked the share button. Then I went to this page and I wrote this information, and you couldn't see it. You could only hear my rambling. Anyways, I had a great time filming this. Up next, we have Python lessons, so make sure you click subscribe. And we have Roblox lessons with the language called Lua. Super excited about that. If you want to know more, and if you want to get some help from instructors, you'll need to join codenerd.io. So go check that website out. And until next time, I feel like I need to have like an ending phrase or something, a catchphrase like adios or something. But I don't know. I'll just have to figure that out. So that is all for now. I will leave you with the beauty products of Code Nerd. Do you want to play video games 24 hours a day and still have